Hello, welcome to the podcast, Human Rights in America, a Revolutionary Mindset. I am your host, Sue Young. Hi, and welcome to the podcast. This episode is all about human rights and censorship in the arts. How does that affect human rights? Art and culture are considered a human right because they are fundamental to a person's identity, their self-expression, and ability to participate fully in society. The right to access and engage with cultural life is enshrined in international documents like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is the basis of this podcast, which states everyone has the right to freely participate in the cultural life of the community, to enjoy the arts, and to share in scientific advancement. Thus, we hold these truths about art to be self-evident. Art is a form of freedom of expression and allows individuals to share their ideals, perspectives, and experiences. Cultural identity allows access to and participation in one's own culture and is essential for maintaining a sense of identity and belonging. For example, have you visited the National Museum of African American History and Culture in D.C.? It has all of our history, from slavery to Beyonce. And it's not just for Black folks. Our history, Black history, is American history. Perhaps it presents a different perspective, but we have shared and do share the same space and time. Art and culture can form social cohesion by fostering understanding, dialogue, and connection between people from different backgrounds, promoting social harmony. Kind of like sports, how you can look at an arena full of people. It's all kumbaya until you take a knee in peaceful protest. Just saying. Put this on your to-do list. Go see, visit, listen to another's cultural experience. Compare it to what you were taught about the event or time period. After you visit, think if their history was not taught as American history. I double dare you. I guarantee that you'll learn something. So, the next thing we'll talk about is European dictators. Initially, I went to the internet and found episode 4 of a podcast miniseries called Breaking the Silence. In episode 4, they talked about censorship and self-censorship. It's a European perspective of what happens to art under censorship under dictators. This episode was on point, but the entire series sounds interesting. Check it out wherever you listen to podcasts. Breaking the Silence. In this episode, they explored the countries of Romania, Spain, and Portugal. Spain was under a dictator. From 1936 to the government prohibited materials that promoted liberal ideals from abroad. Romania was under a communist dictator. Artists in Romania could not publicly deny or reject the communist regime. Otherwise, the artist would be erased from school curriculum, banned, and imprisoned. In fact, some would just disappear. Censorship and artistic oppression was not only physical and psychological, but it also involved public shaming of the art. And as a result, the authors began to self-censor. The Portuguese dictatorship was one of the longest in Europe. From 1936 to after 1950, dozens of writers, artists, singers, and songwriters were jailed. Some were tortured and exiled. This activism opposition to the regime through the arts eventually led to a popular revolution that ended the dictatorship on April 25th, 1974. The coup d'etat was initiated by a song played on the radio. It was the code to start marching toward Liz to take down the government. Funny, a coup is described as an illegal action to take over government, but a self-coup is said to take place when a leader, having come to power by legal means, tries to stay in power illegally. That might be good to know in the future. Anyway, back to dictatorships. Music has a very important role in telling the story of the Portuguese dictatorship. The lyrics are all full of codes and symbolism and were often censored. Songs help educate generations and convey ideals, thoughts, and experiences that were once silenced. But since this podcast is all about human rights in America, I looked at our history of censorship, specifically in the arts. Because we've never had a dictator, I wanted to know what happens when one political party silences the arts. Has it been done before? I don't know. So welcome to the podcast. That's what this is all about. History of censorship in America. Art has been censored in the United States for a long time due to the sexual content of art, the political ideology of art, and religious beliefs. Examples of art censorship include the following. In 2015, art institutions canceled engagements for poet Vanessa Place's work due to accusations of racism. In 2013, Kansas University removed art and closed the exhibition hall. In 2010, the National Portrait Gallery in Washington, D.C. removed a video of ant on a crucifix after criticism from the Catholic League. In 1989, the U.S. Senate voted to cut funding to art groups that supported exhibitions by Robert Mapplethorpe and Andre Serrano. 2002, Rockefeller Center covered and removed Eric Fischl's bronze sculpture, Tumbling Woman, after public criticism. Other examples of censorship involve the novel Fanny Hill was banned for 145 years. In 2018, the University of Southern Maine removed artwork by a sex offender from campus. In 2018, Mary Baldwin University in Virginia removed an art exhibit on Confederate monuments. Art censorship can include removing, covering, burning, or destroying artwork. It can also include banning artwork from school and libraries, or blocking or canceling events, and blocking social media accounts. On or about February 19, 2025, the Gay Men's Chorus of Washington, D.C., and the National Symphony Orchestra events at the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts were canceled. They are the latest performances that have been canceled since President Trump appointed himself as the chairman this month. In a statement, Deborah Rudd, former president of the Kennedy Center, said, "Much like our democracy itself, artistic expression must be nurtured, fostered, prioritized, and protected. It is not a passive endeavor. Indeed, there is no clearer sign of American democracy at work than the work they produce and audiences' unalienable right to actively participate." Like I said, we haven't had a dictatorship in America So I don't know what will come of the Kennedy Center, as the current president appointed himself as chairman and announced 14 new board members to make it so. These board members include the White House chief of staff, a country singer, and a top GOP donor, among others. But like most things, it all begins with the little things, one thing at a time, like cancellation of a choir, of a gay men's choir in D.C., or an orchestra, art and culture canceled. And it's not just books. After reading about the Kennedy Center turmoil, I found the website for the National Coalition Against Censorship, NCAC. The NCAC's vision statement is that they envision an American society that understands values, defends, and vigorously exercises free expression and a just, egalitarian, diverse, and inclusive democracy. Their mission statements: every generation of Americans faces new, significant challenges to free expression. For almost 50 years, the NCAC has acted as a first responder to protect this freedom, which is both a fundamental human right, and is in a keystone of democracy in every ever-changing American nation. They promote freedom of thought and inquiry and oppose censorship. When controversy occurs, they encourage and facilitate dialogue between divergent voices and perspectives, including those that have historically been silenced. You can read more about the NCAC at nc.org. Like I said, America hasn't censored art because of a dictator, but we have censored and do censor art in some way, shape, or form for years. Remember Florida and all of its many book bans? Poem that was generated by AI, but I'll entitle it The Rhythm and Soul of Art. A canvas woven with stories untold, a dance of rhythms, song of old. Art, a mirror to a people's soul, reflecting values, making spirits whole. In vibrant hues the past is seen, the triumphs, struggles in between. A tapestry of time unfurls as each brushstroke culture swirls. From ancient carvings on a stone wall to melodies that rise and fall, art speaks a language clear and bright, a beacon guiding through the darkest night. It binds the community strong and true, a shared expression and common view. In every masterpiece, a spirit lives, a legacy that forever gives. So let the colors dance and swirl. Let the music rise and unfurl. For art is more than just a sight. It's the heartbeat of a culture shining bright. Art and culture, a human right. Until next time, be revolutionary, be human.